So I'm Faith Biddle, and I work for Friends World Committee for Consultation, otherwise known as FWCC. We organise our work through 4 section offices. We've got EMIS, that's Europe and Middle East, Asia West Pacific, the Africa Section, and Section of the Americas. And at the World Office, we bring a collaboration across these 4 different offices. So part of our work as the World Office, we want to encourage Friends awareness to be able to understand, although we're all Quakers, how we live in the world and show our faith in different ways. And this COVID-19 outbreak has also affected us in many different ways because of our varying worship styles, because of geographically where we're based. So we're joined by Bainito today to hopefully fill us in a little bit about how our friends have been affected both positively and negatively. So Bainito, before we begin, would you like to introduce yourself a little bit more?
Sure. My name is Bainito Wamalwa. I'm currently the clerk of Africa Section, and I'm glad to be here on behalf of the section secretary who is away on leave. And I'm glad to be able to share a few exciting challenges and positives about the COVID during the COVID time. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're going to ask you 3 questions that we've been asking the other section secretaries. And the first question is, what have you noticed that has changed among your section during the COVID-19 outbreak?
There have been a number of changes in the section during this time of COVID-19. And one of the major changes is that mostly African churches or the section representation are programmed worship type of churches. And during this pandemic time, we've been able to realize that most of the programmed churches have not been able to go ahead with the worship the way they are used to worshiping, which most of them can be able to dance, can be able to sing, can be able to preach face to face, and can shake hands, because you may find from across section of the section, the common word used is peace for shaking hands, and that is amahoro in Kinyarwanda and the Burundi, and the Mulembe in East Africa. So this has missed in most of the churches and most of the Quaker family friends. So this is a big challenge, change that we've been able to notice. Another thing that we've been able to notice is how friends have not been able to fellowship away from the congregating in meeting houses. Most friends have been able to worship at the family levels. And the worshiping at family levels is, for me, I feel is a positive, because it is strengthening the families, reuniting the families, and from the families, then I think after the COVID, we hope we are going to carry it on as a strength to the worship groups and the worship meetings. That's a strength that I may be able to speak about toward the end. Another thing that we may look at it as a challenge during this time is that most friends have been able to move towards a technological kind of worshiping using Zoom, using Facebook, using many other technology, which has brought the idea of few friends coming to worship together from a particular area, but also expanding the wider coverage of friends. For example, friends from overseas could be able to worship with Friends International Center in Nairobi. Friends from Nairobi can be able to fellowship with friends in Kagarama in Kigali. So this has been a positive part of it in terms of during this COVID, the technological worship has its own positive, whereby many have gone technologically and have been able to embrace friends from a wider coverage, a wider range of friends to be able to fellowship. So this one. Number 2, as a section, you may find that it has been very difficult to bring most friends together in a worship or in a congregation continentally. But of recent past, during the COVID, we've been able to stage a few African worship, and friends from Congo, from Southern Africa, from Eastern Africa, they could be able to converge on the Zoom and be able to participate and be able to fellowship together. This has been a positive. However, during this time, the technology has come, but we have also challenges with many friends in Africa about reaching out to technology, because they have not been able to embrace the technology. Either they have the gadgets, but they don't have internet, or they have internet and they don't have gadgets. So these are also some of the challenges that are there that has been realized during this COVID. These are changes, these are new things that we are seeing, and also the issue of new words that have come in place, like COVID, which was not in the dictionary before, but now we can be able to realize COVID is a new word that has come on board. Words like lockdown, which were not there, we've now been able to see them coming up. Curfews, the words have been there, used casually, but now it is now with us, living with us. So these are things that are new changes that are realized during the churches or during this. Sorry, that's what I could be able to respond to this.
Yeah, thank you. And Bainito, it's so good that you've also, through talking about the families, you've highlighted the fact that it's something that we notice across the different sections. So in the Africa section, families do really come together, they come as a whole family to church, right? So that's the way that they worship. Whereas if you look at other parts of the world, people often, it's not necessarily a whole family, it might just be an individual going. So through listening to you, you've also helped us kind of share more stories as well. And it just shows the importance of this kind of series, to be able to highlight the different infrastructures as well. So it's great to be able to talk on Zoom, but if we haven't all got the technology to be able to do that, then how is it actually unifying? So yeah, no, it's really useful. Thank you for being able to share that, and so coherently. Great examples. The second question that I want to ask is maybe slightly more personal, and as the clerk of the section, you might be able to kind of really highlight this, but what has particularly moved you during this time? Because it's obviously quite it's been quite scary as well for different reasons for a variety of friends, but what has particularly moved you?
What has moved me during this time of pandemic is on one hand, there is that face-to-face gathering, and face-to-face gathering is nice, good, but one thing you find that it is also time-consuming and it's costly. People traveling, they have to cost. Sitting in a particular place for quite some time is also time consuming. Unlike the Zoom time, where we are going for maybe 2 hours at a maximum, and with 2 hours, people are not moving, people are not traveling, people are not costing so much on travels and accommodation. So this has really been able to move me and be able to inspire me as a clerk of the section. This we've realized it, and it is something that we say it has really touched me as a clerk, because one, if only this was embraced, and how I feel that Africa could have fully internet connected, could have friends could be able to afford gadgets, it will make our work much easier and more aggressive than what it is, what has been before. So this is one thing that I look at, and it has been able to move me as a clerk of the section, that kind of gathering. Another thing that has also moved me as a clerk of the section is the time that we have now. We might be having plenty of time at this particular moment, the time that we could be able to spend to the barriers, to the weddings, yeah, and many other functions of this type. The time is now more safe. So this has really been making me think and be able to praise God that actually, if these things could happen like this, then we could move forward instead of the whereby away from the African culture where they have to embrace people gathering, people mourning together, people shouting and dancing together because of the weddings. This has now is not the norm now. It's now abnormal way because people go very few to participate in such functions. So this is one thing that I look at it as having been moved. And if this time is put in another aspect of development, then you see we are going to move faster in terms of development. That's something I'll be able to say.
Thank you. Yeah, and again, it's really useful just to hear those kind of personal reflections as well. And so we've heard a little bit about what's changed and those kind of personal stories, but as we're working to kind of like, COVID-19 might be something that is around for a while, and so we're all having to change and adapt. And you know, some meeting houses are talking about reopening, but some meeting houses are talking about, and this is, for example, just in the UK where I'm based, but adapting the both online and the face-to-face. So what do you think your hopes are for the Africa section in how you will move forward after this COVID-19 pandemic?
Yeah, my hopes as a clerk of the section after this pandemic is if we could be able to encourage and be able to work out a way that the friends are networked through the technology. This will make the section also grow and compete. It will bring down the costs, and it will be able to use its time actively and usefully to be able to achieve what we will have set as targets. This, I hope, if is carried forward, we are going to be able to move and achieve. What also we feel that we need to be carrying forward, which I don't want us to forget, is the culture of Africa is very important in terms of worship and in terms of fellowship. Fellowshipping face to face, dancing together, singing together, and shaking hands and hugging each other is a phenomenon that is very, very important to the culture of Africa, and it makes our worship and fellowship more meaningful and more attractive to whoever wants to join, even new members. So I feel that this, if it's carried forward, we are going to move with it and be able to go with it. And if we go with it, I mean, if after the pandemic, if this one comes back again, then we are going to be very sure that we are nice. However, the issue of the time frame, as I said, is okay. It will be done on a limited amount of time. However, most of the time, it will be easier for us to go technologically and be able to fellowship, and we can be able to reach out and fellowship globally without any hitch, without traveling, without many ado aspects. So this is what I could be able to feel that we should be able to carry forward with us. Another thing that we need to carry forward with us during this pandemic is the habit, change of habit, because you realize during the pandemic, the habit is changed. The norms are changed. The norms are changed, and if the norms are changed, then we have to move together with this abnormal way and make it a normal way after the pandemic. Then we'll be able to live because since the pandemic, the COVID is not going away any soon. It's going to stay with us for quite a while. So we have to continue with the habit that we have developed during this pandemic and move with it as a church, as an organization. Thank you.
No, thank you, Bainito. That's yeah, and I think you've put into words something that is so important, that a lot of friends are kind of talking about in different ways, but particularly partly because maybe in the Africa section of FWCC, yeah, the hugging is so much part of your worship style that it's really important. But you know, we are all social creatures, aren't we? So you've articulated so well the fact that we've been deprived of being close to and being able to touch and hug loved ones. So being able to both unite and celebrate what technology gives us, whilst not forgetting the other important factors that, yeah, you've highlighted that so clearly. So thank you for articulating that so well. So I think that that's something that I'm sure many friends all around the world will share in different ways. If they don't dance in their worship, then maybe they dance somewhere else and understand the importance of hugging family and friends. So thank you. Now, because we work together, I know some of the also really good stories. So I'm going to probe you a little bit and get you to talk about if you don't mind, some of the collaboration that you've been doing with friends across the Africa section, just while we have a little bit of time, because I noticed that you haven't talked about that, and that's one of the great things that's happened. The kind of the joining with different organizations to be able to, whether it's handing out face masks or raising funds to support. So I might put you on the spot a little bit, if you don't mind, by just talking a little bit about how that collaboration came about.
Yeah, I wanted to bring it during any other reflection, and any other reflection I want to bring it is that during this pandemic, we have been able to be moved as a section to see that how are we going to reach out and give courage to the membership down there. And we thought we had a number of organizations in Africa. Kenyan Quakers are organized under an umbrella of Friends Church in Kenya. Friends United Meeting African Ministries is also working in Africa, mainly in East Africa, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the section is covering the rest of the section. And if we thought doing a communication to friends in Kenya, then you see we might be duplicating, because Friends Church in Kenya will be able to communicate, Friends United Meeting will be able to communicate, and FWCC Africa Section will be able to communicate. To minimize this and to organize this, we thought the three of us should be able to come together and include from a distance the Friends Evangelical Church in Africa also to be part of it through one representation. And this we have come and on 4th of April we came together for the first meeting, and due to not all of us accessing the technology, we managed to bring ourselves together, 6 of us, 2 from FWCC Africa Section, 2 from Friends Church in Kenya, and 2 from Friends United Meeting. And we've been meeting face to face every Saturday to be able to think together, work together, and to communicate together to our family, friends family. Now, not only in Kenya, not only in East Africa, but the whole of Africa. And this also made us to start thinking aloud. How do we stand with the Quakers or the community during this pandemic? We termed this to be as a third world war, and third world war, Quakers had a special role during the Third World War. And what role should we be able to speak or to perform as Quakers in Africa? We thought we should be able to harness the little we have, put together in one basket, and be able to reach out to the families that are affected. And this has been done April, May, and June. Fantastically, we've been able, we faced this into 4 phases, and the first phase, second phase, third phase, and this Saturday, if we meet, we'll be discussing about the 4th phase. So, and the phase has done very well. We could not be able to reach out to Quakers alone. We could be able to reach out to the communities. And how did we reach out to the communities? We thought our Quaker facilities, health facilities, are an avenue for us to be able, through that, to reach out the facility, the communities. Most of our Quaker health facilities are not only managed and administered by Quakers alone, but other friends, people in the community who are coming to be facilitated or supported. They are the community. So through that, we've been able to support either the PPEs or the equipment that could be able to help to minimize or even to prevent the pandemic, of the infection of the pandemic. So this is what we've done so far. And so far, we've been able to cover a number of countries. In Kenya, we've been able to cover a number of facilities. In Uganda, we've been able to support the pastors who have been relying on the congregations to earn a living, but we've been able to support them in a small way so that they can be able to save their lives and their children for a while. We've been able to support the same in Rwanda. Rwanda, we've been able to support the thermogans. The churches are opening, and when they're opening is a requirement that each church must have a thermogan. So for us to enable the churches to start resuming in Rwanda, we managed to send money worth 20 thermogans to Rwanda. In Burundi, there was no lockdown. Life is as usual, as normal. We've been able to support the 3 hospitals. One is in Kamenge, being run by the women, French women in Burundi, in Kamenge. Another one is a level 4 hospital, the biggest hospital, Quaker hospital in Ruro, that is Kibimba Hospital. And another one is Muzuhusho, which is in Kwibuka, where we've been able to support with the PPEs. In Congo, we've been able to support the hospital in Abeka with also equipment, money to provide the equipment for the nurses and the doctor. And also we've been able, besides this pandemic, also we looked at floods that came. And the floods, we interpret floods in terms of some of the causes of the COVID. Why? When the floods are sweeping out the houses, the communities are going to stay in the cold. And when they stay in cold, they are bound to develop pneumonia, which will lead to COVID. So we could be able to support in terms of blankets, in terms of blankets, yes, so that they can cover themselves. So this is what we've been able to do. And I want to appreciate the donors and the friends who have been able to support this exercise. It's a noble, because you clothe me when I'm naked, then you are clothing Jesus. You clothe me when I'm naked, that's a ministry that we have to undertake as Quakers. So friends in Kenya alone have been able to raise more than Kenya shillings 1 million. Friends from overseas have also been able to raise for us money close to 2 million. And we are happy and we are appreciating this. And we still pray that God may be able to help them in a special way to continue ministering and supporting the needy cases that we have grown. We are only administering on behalf of the family of Quakers globally. Thank you so much.
Oh no, thank you, Bainito. Because I'm glad that you were going to talk about it at some point, because I'll put a link in the description box so friends can read the open letter that you first spoke about when you first came to collaborate with, and you put it so clearly about the different types of branches and how they work around the different parts of Africa. So thank you. And
maybe one more.
Yes, no, please. I was just going to say, do you have anything else that you want to share?
Yeah, one more, because during this time also, we've been able to reach out to also other partners, and the American Friends Service Committee, which has an office in Kenya, which is running for Africa. We also collaborated and say, how do we jointly work together during this pandemic? And we realized that Quakers are in Zimbabwe, and as a joint venture that we've been able to collaborate, we could not be able to go to Zimbabwe. And we asked, can we do this part? And the American Friends Service Committee do in Zimbabwe. And we are glad that the American Friends Service Committee has been able to intervene in Zimbabwe, because the doctors had downloaded the tools and they were able to participate and support in reinstating the doctors by giving them PPEs. Also, jointly with FWCC Africa Section, we came together to say there is this stigmatization of long-distance truck drivers on the border of Uganda and Kenya, and they are being termed corona carriers. So, and there was a denial, and there was the kind of conflict between the community and the truck drivers. So we came together and say we have to speak to this condition of the drivers. And we moved there, whereby we got the masks and we got the sanitizers, we got the soap, and we traveled along the road, and we were talking to the communities and the truck drivers and see how we are brothers, how we are sisters. These are our sons, these are our dads, these are our brothers. Can we be able to accommodate them? However little they are, they can be able to buy from our shops, and we can also be able to support them in case they have nothing. They have stayed on the road for many days. They have nothing. Support them. So this is what we did with the American Friends Service Committee. Thank you so much.
No, thank you, and also just thank you for showing what it is to kind of lead by example and put your faith into action. And I think your example of using Jesus is quite an apt one about how that kind of really using your story to kind of to show and demonstrate your faith. So thank you so much for joining us, Bainito, and I really hope that friends that are watching this will be able to learn so much from everything that you shared. I'll put some links in so that they can follow your work and keep up with some of your stories, because I know also you've been welcoming some friends for your worship during this time as well, which is great, because friends have been doing that all over the world. So thank you.
I want to appeal to friends. If they feel they want also to continue with this spirit, they can still continue supporting, and they can also continue getting in touch with the section, either through Job or through myself. Then we can be able to speak about what other activities we want to continue during this pandemic, because the pandemic is here with us. We are going to stay with us. So as we stay along, we are going to move with it. Next Saturday, God willing, we want also to distribute some food stuff for about 60 families who are not getting anything to bite during this pandemic. Their sons and daughters who are working in Nairobi in the cities were laid off because of the pandemic. They don't have any money to come to their aid. So what we are doing is that in a small way, also we want to see that we distribute this food to these families. At least we can save our life for another 4 days as we leave everything for God to take control. So in whichever way, so long as we still have this pandemic, we are still working together as a group. We are still working together as a team to see that we move and we stay together, and also encourage friends. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bainito, and well done for all of the work. And thank you for sharing it.
Yeah. Thank you.